All right, all right, all right. All right, so hey, welcome everyone. All right. Hey, so today what we're going to do is we're going to play a game live, right? And what is the purpose of this game is to help people who are new to the cloud or want to try to begin a career in cloud computing, right? Just to teach you a little bit about the nuances and how to navigate around the cloud and some of the technology that you'll be dealing with and some of the AWS services. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to play the game live, right? And we're going to check out and see how everything works. So I'll be playing the game and talking, and then seeing if I can check the live screen if anybody is online or whatever the case may be. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. I've played this game, as I was going on my cloud journey and first starting out and learning about it. So it's real cool. So hope all of you enjoy. Anyone who's tuning in, as we get started. One thing I would say, when I first started learning about cloud technology and stuff like that, is I had kind of like no idea, about cloud, technology and how everything works and operates, within the cloud. So this game was really helpful in that regard. I'm gonna just, share with everyone and, kind of make sure that, people can kind of see what it's like. As far as what cloud technology is like. So let's go through and play.
Welcome to the city. We are happy you decided to join our team. As a new member of our IT staff, you will solve city problems by building solutions using AWS. The Cloud Practitioner job role has been selected for you. Report to the city to begin. A day will help you get started.
That day will help you get started. Okay. All right. So now we're beginning the cloud practitioner role, right? Cloud practitioner, comes along with a certification. So as you're studying for the certification, which is the entry-level certification for AWS, you can actually come play this game, and it will help you kind of understand, to get like a foundation of knowledge where that you can see exactly what you've been studying. So I think that's real cool. All right. So each solution you build will solve business problems in the city. Click map points to explore and click to start. Okay. All right. So let's go and choose. I guess we got to choose a map point to get started with. So let me see if I can. I guess I can move this around. We'll just go start at the first place. Highly available web apps. We got to choose what we look like. That's a striking looking universe. Let me see. Choose options for body, head, and clothing. We'll take your security badge photo when you are done. Okay. So let me see. Make this like real life. Nah, that's all good. So right there. See, man, you can make the head like super big. So we ain't gonna spend too much time on this. Let me see. That's kind of like realistic. So we'll do like this right here. All right, we'll just save, man. We're not gonna spend a lot of time. Oh, hold up now. Let me see. All right, there, hair, and let's see, clothing. A little business suit. It's always good to be professionally dressed. I think that's cool, right? See, with the shoes, you always gotta have a good pair of shoes on, man. There we go. Right. There we go. Boutique is closed. So you can't fix your hair. All right. So don't worry about it. All right, cool. Save. Choose a name. Hold up. Fantastic. Enter your avatar name, and we'll take care of your security badge photo. So avatar name will be Uncle Trey. Okay. Kev Tech said DJ Trey. All right. Brandon Walker, what's going on, man? All right. So here we go. So, all right. So now, as we're going and we're exploring around the city, right now we're prepared to take, on our role as, a cloud practitioner. So first thing we got to do, see your smartphone icon is next to your IR device. Okay. It contains assignment from citizens that need your help. The first assignment has arrived. Wait, watch out. Oh man, we got a big gorilla who's attacking somebody, innocent person. See what he wants us to do here. I'm not getting in the way of a gorilla, I'll tell you that. Alright, so okay, strange. Mrs. Gorilla usually wears a hat. Anyone click to open your XR device, then go to a route. Okay, so we'll say route and go. Now this is going to be the first solution that we're going to be responsible for going with. Alright, so it says hello, welcome to the city. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, it's nice to meet you. I am happy to join the team. So how can I help you? Our data center powers most of the technical infrastructure here in the city, but it takes months to procure and configure resources. So this right here is what the whole purpose of the cloud is, ladies and gentlemen. So basically what it is, old school, they had these data centers, like very, very expensive buildings to maintain. You have to have power, you have to have resources, you got to have security, all this type of stuff. So what happens in the cloud is that these cloud providers, whether it be AWS, whether it be Azure, whether it be Google Cloud Platform, they already have the infrastructure in place. And then what you are doing as a company, it doesn't matter if you're a large company, whether it be Pepsi Cola or Netflix or whatever the case may be, you are actually renting services from that cloud provider. And that's the whole thing about the cloud. You're just renting services. So if you need to rent compute power, or you need to rent networking ability, or you need to rent, a platform where you can create and develop your applications, that's exactly what you're doing. All right, so coming back here, our data center powers most of the technical infrastructure here in the city, but it takes months to procure and configure resources. That is a pretty common problem when provisioning your own infrastructure. Can you please give me more specific example? All right, sure. Right now, everyone on the island goes to a customer portal to view the current wave size projections at the beach each day. Surfers check this webpage for big waves, and families want to know when the waves are lower for security reasons. That's understandable. All right, so currently we have some challenges keeping the servers that deliver the wave size projections up and running. All right. Have you considered using AWS cloud infrastructure? It can significantly improve your agility and resiliency. All right, interesting. I've heard a lot about the cloud, but I'm not sure I understand the entire concept. All right, no problem. So cloud computing on AWS provides access to technology services such as compute power, storage, database, and databases. Resources are available on demand, and you can pay only for what you use. You can choose from hundreds of AWS services to help you build your solutions. All right, that's another good thing about AWS, or about the cloud and specifically, right? They only charge you for what you use. So going back to our data center example, right, where we had a data center and we went and built it up from scratch. If you built your own data center, which would cost you anywhere from, let's say a couple $100 million, right? Let's say $300 million. All right, you would have to pay for that every single day. So the power consumption that comes from there, the employees that come from there, all right, you would have to pay for everything that's running, all the services. But with AWS, or cloud provider in general, you are only paying for the services that you use. So that's very powerful, right? All right, so our customer is saying, hey, the cloud sounds promising, but how can it improve my agility? How many days does it take to bring up a server online? All right, so that's another thing with cloud technology, like you save a lot of time. Like if you paid for a data scientist or someone who is actually going to build a server for you that can take X amount of days, then you got to pay that employee X amount of salary. But with AWS, you can spin up server in a matter of minutes, right? So that's a good thing. All right, so with AWS, you can deploy researchers such as servers in minutes at the fraction of the traditional cost. With this type of flexibility, you can transform your operation. All right, well, if it's that fast, I'd like to know how to get a server running quickly and and to bring our wave size web page back online. And we also want the website to be more resilient to hardware failures. All right, so we're talking about disaster recovery as a service, right? Does your web page include any scripts that must run on the web server? These are known as server-side scripts. If your site doesn't run server-side scripts, it is a static website. Let me check my notes from IT. Yes, it says here that the website is static. All right, does that help? So that means that, hey, we can host it in S3, which he's about to talk about. So yes, because you are running a static website, you can migrate your web page to Amazon S3 bucket and use the static website hosting feature. This move to Amazon will get you back up and running quickly and make sure your site's more resilient, resistant to failure. We can start by creating a new S3 bucket to hold your web page content. So for those of you who are studying cloud services, right, the good thing about the cloud is all the cloud providers pretty much have all the same setup. Like when you go on to any cloud provider, right, whether it be Azure, whether it be Google Cloud Platform, AWS, Alibaba, so on and so forth, like all of the services pretty much do the exact same thing, they just have different names, right? So as long as you understand the names, right, so if you said, okay, in AWS for all the storage, right? You'll have S3. Where you go to Azure, you might have data lakes, so on and so forth, right? So as long as you understand the name, you can still perform the service on behalf of the customer. It just has a different name. So in Amazon, in AWS, right, all the storage is going to fall under the S3, which stands for Simple Storage Service, okay? So that's where you put all of your data and you put it inside these containers. They're called buckets, right? So that's what we're going to do. And from those containers, you can host different things, like you can host a static web page, right? Not so much for dynamic, but you can host like static web pages and stuff like that. All right. Don't we need to run a web server to publish the web page? Using Amazon S3, you can store any type or amount of data and retrieve it from anywhere. After we upload your data into the S3 bucket, we can enable the static website hosting feature on the bucket, which is pretty cool, right? All right, so because Amazon S3 is a fully managed service, you do not need to deploy or manage any servers. S3 buckets are automatically replicated across multiple AWS data centers for high resiliency, right? And we'll learn more about, what is a fully managed service and things of that nature later on, right? All right, also, any website hosted in an S3 bucket can automatically scale to handle thousands of concurrent requests. All right, nice. I like to see the solution in action. All right. Can you start now? Residents are avoiding the beach because the wave size web page is down. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to accept this assignment, right? We're going to accept this solution and say, yes, we will be able to solve the problem. Okay. All right. So, hey, so basically this is the solution center, right? So this is where you will solve all the problems in AWS. So basically what's happening is the game is giving you this interface. It's going to explain the solution that it wants you to achieve. And then what the game has done, it has replicated an AWS environment for you. So now once you click on a tab, it's going to take you to a predefined AWS environment, and then you would just have to solve the problem. So that's real cool. And like I say, this is a great tool to help people learn who are just kind of getting started with the cloud. All right, so it gives you instructions. I'm not going to read through all the instructions, right? Because I don't want to, bore anyone, right? But it's basically what it's telling you is like, hey, you have to learn what's going on, then you create a plan, right? Then you will practice, what's going on, build a portion, and then you will do it yourself. So basically what it's going to do is going to give you an example. It's going to show you what you need to do. Then it's going to say, okay, now go do everything on your own. And then it's not going to give you instructions. You just got to do it, right? All right, now I'm not going to go through these, but I do want to point these out. So let me read this real quick. Hey, this is the learn section where you can interact with the diagram of the solution that you will build. All right, these navigation buttons cycle through the solution diagram and explains how it works. This is step one. Click the arrow. All right, to store data in Amazon S3, you work with resources known as buckets and objects. A bucket is a container for objects. An object is a type of file and any metadata that describes that file. Okay. All right, the solution uses Amazon S3 bucket to host a static website. In Amazon S3, the static website can sustain a conceivable level of traffic at a very modest cost without the need to set up, monitor, scale, or manage any web servers. Okay. All right, so great. You have reached the last step in the solution walkthrough. Next, you can watch these videos about AWS services within the solution. All right. Click the videos concepts, which we'll do. So now, just to show everyone, right, this is the cool thing. Like I said, as you're studying for the AWS Cloud Practitioner cert, you can actually watch these videos to get like an
Amazon
overview,
S3
right?
Overview.
And it tells you about the specific service that you're studying and about the specific service that you're trying to create a solution for on behalf of the customer. So this is very, very cool. I'm not going to watch these videos because, of course, I've already done this several times, but I'm just giving you an example for those of you that want to go out and play the game for yourself, right? That you can actually get some education going on here, and then you can learn to solve a solution. So that's very, very cool. All right, so let me go ahead and close it out. So now we'll go to our plan, right? And then this is our plan. So it says this is the plan section. It details the building activities that are required for the solution. Here you will review the tasks you must complete in the practice and DIY do-it-yourself sections. Okay. All right. So let me click on this. All right, this eye-shaped icon is to toggle the details, the practice goals, and highlight the portions of the solution that is built using guided steps. Okay, so let me just click on this. All right, great, you did it. The only part of the diagram is highlighted. That's because this is the only portion of the solution that is built using the practice lab steps. All right, so all this other stuff has been done, and now you're gonna go and do this portion, okay? All right, this eye-shaped icon details the do-it-yourself goals. All right, and then nice, this solution only requires renaming a file hosted on Amazon S3, but expect more challenging assignments as you progress through the content. All right, so now that your plan is set, let's go to the practice section and practice. All right. So hosting a static website on Amazon S3. Okay. Click the start button to provision your new account. So like I was telling everyone, so basically what it is like you're going to click start and it's going to take you inside the AWS console. Okay, so we go click start and then it's going to build the environment. It's building like an environment lab. So this right here is what's helping you lab or practice inside the AWS console. All right, so excellent. Preparing your AWS environment can take several minutes. So let's continue to explore the practice and do-it-yourself sections of the Solution Center. All right. The practice, so over here in this side right here, this is like the practice steps that you're going to need to complete the objective or complete the solution. All right, and then it's going to tell you the concept behind each step that it's taking you through. All right, so in the practice section, you will build a portion of the solution using guidance steps. Once done, go to the DIY section to complete the solution using the same AWS environment. All right, so let's move on to the do-it-yourself section. Click do-it-yourself. All right, and then what you have to do after you finish is you have to change the name of the S3 bucket and then paste it in here. And then when you click on validate, the system is going to check to make sure that you completed all the necessary steps. And then it will give you like a score, or it will tell you, hey, you passed this step in the solution, and now you can proceed on to the next solution. Or now you can go back and notify the customer that you have solved and created a solution on their behalf, and then you can move on to the next step. All right. All right. So I'm just going to skip past this stuff. It's kind of like, instructions. I do kind of remember how to do all this stuff. So, All right, so open the tab. Now I'm kind of like live streaming right now. So it's going to open up an additional tab for you. All right. And then now this is the cloud environment here. Okay. This is the AWS cloud. And these right here are kind of like services. So what do services do? Services like kind of allow you to accomplish certain goals. Like if a customer or a company came to you and said, hey, we need different web servers to host a website. All right, what service can they use from AWS to accomplish that mission? And the answer would be, hey, they would use EC2, which stands for Elastic Cloud Compute, right? And you have a couple different services here, like you have Amazon SageMaker, right? That deals with machine learning, right? So if you want to create like a machine learning model, you can do that. If you want to use a machine learning model to recognize like certain images, like recognize celebrities or recognize people walking into the store, all type of stuff which you want to do like facial recognition, then you would use Amazon Recognition. You have a service here, Cloud Formation, right? So what Cloud Formation does is saying instead of you going and building each individual service by hand every single time, what you can do is you create a Cloud Formation template, and that Cloud Formation template, all you do is launch, and it will launch all your services at one particular time. So that saves a lot of money and saves a lot of configuration error, because humans can make mistakes. So if you teach the machine and services to do everything, then they can do it for you. So I'm not going to go into each of these services like identity access management, virtual private cloud, S3. I'm not going to go into all these services. I'm just trying to give you an example of what it's like to work in the cloud. All right, so this is our console home. So now let's go back to our instructions to see what the system actually wants us to do. What up, Katray? I see the Working Man podcast. Hey, how you doing, Working Man podcast? So just for anybody who's coming to, just let me take a pause right quick. For anybody who's just recently joining us, okay? So today what we're doing is we are playing a game, and it's called AWS Cloud Quest. And the purpose of this game is to teach individuals who are trying to gain knowledge about the cloud, just to kind of teach you the functionality about how the cloud works and introduce you to different AWS services. Okay, so this is very cool. As I first started learning about the cloud back in like March, I played this game a lot, and I'm telling you, it's very, very helpful to learn about cloud technology. So AWS has produced this game to teach everyone about the AWS services. So I highly implore everyone, I have left a description to the game within the description of the video. So anyone who wants to go play on themselves, feel free to play, to play the game on your own. But all right, so now let's go back to solving this problem. So what has happened is we have walked up to a customer. A customer has come up to us and said, hey, they have a problem where they need a website hosted. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Amazon S3 Simple Storage Service, the storage solution for AWS. We're going to use that to solve the customer's problem. And it's really cool. And that's what we do here at AWS or any cloud provider, is we solve customers' problems. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and read the directions. All right. And follow the step by step. And then just to show everyone out there how easy it is, really you just follow the directions. You don't need any prior cloud knowledge. You just follow the directions and learn. Okay, so let's go. So now we have step by steps, and we've already clicked on the open the AWS console button. And now we see here we have our AWS console, and this is where the magic happens. Okay. So now, all right, so step one, review the lab objectives and the concept for you to start lab, which we've already done and got it. All right, so now we click the next arrow. So we go over to the lab files. Now, sometimes you're gonna have to download these lab files that will help you to complete the objective. So we'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so it's telling us, hey, to download this lab file, which is labcode.zip. Okay, so we'll go ahead and download that. All right, open that guy up, extract that guy, put it in the same place. All right, cool. All right, good. Okay, so now, and then click on lab code, download it, right? So now, let me see, what happened here? Oh shoot, I done got out of the doggone example. Let me start it back real quick. I pressed the wrong button. I was like, where'd that button go? All right, cool. Practice. All right, back. So now we're right back to where we was at. All right, so now it's telling us, okay, now what does it want us to do? All right, so double click on the zip folder to extract the content. Done, we did that. Then review the files downloaded. So you will see a list of 5 files. Let me bring that back over here so everyone can see. All right, and I know it's kind of hard. It might be kind of hard to see on the screen, but it's not that important. So look, you will see the list of 5 files. Go to the next step. All right, so now we want to go to S3 and choose our service. All right, so we'll do it exactly the way they say. So all you do is type in S3 up here at the top, and then you'll see the service that you need to pick, which is S3. Okay. So now click on S3 in the search results and go to the next step. The concept behind this, right? Because you always want to know why. That only reinforces your learning, right? So the AWS Management Console is a web interface to access and manage the broad collection of services provided by Amazon Web Services. And you see the first service here that we're going to go to is Amazon S3. Okay, so click on create bucket. So you are going to create bucket within this first step, right? Note, if you see a note about temporarily re-enable the provision Amazon S3, click switch to the new console tab. The old concept tab has been kind of sunsetted or retired, so we don't think we have to worry about that. All right, a bucket is a container for objects in Amazon S3. Every object, is contained in a bucket. You can configure buckets so that they are created in a specific Amazon region. And that's another thing that you have to be aware of, regions, availability zones, but we're not going to go into all that right now. All right, so now what we want to do, okay, is we want to create our bucket and then we want to name it. So it says here, type lab unique name 123. Let me see if I have this in the steps. Normally they have it where you can copy and paste it, but I guess for this one they don't. So let me see if I can just kind of bring this web page over here real quick and then kind of do it side by side because I can't exercise my two monitors right now because I'm on a live screen. So I kind of just do what they say right here, right? So the first thing we're going to do is create a bucket. All right, so for our bucket name, it's going to be lab unique and then dash name. All right, and then dash 123. Okay, and then the region where we're going to put our bucket, most times every time I do something, it's always in US East 1. All right, so here we go, US East 1 in North Virginia, and then it's going to say scroll. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom for the next step. All right, now the object writer, so it says choose ACLs, I'll say access control list. Okay, so let me see, and make sure that that is enabled. Okay, we're going to choose access control list, and then we want the object ownership, right? We want the object ownership to be object writer. All right, so we're going to switch that. Okay, and then it's telling us to scroll down again, so we'll go to the next step. All right, so in this one, right, in this next step, you have a, like, by default, so all S3 buckets by default block public access. So what it's asking us to do is to uncheck this box, because what we're going to do is we're going to host a website and we need other people to be able to access our website. All right, so we want to make sure that that box is unchecked. Okay, and then, this just giving us a warning down here that says, hey, turning off block all public access might result in this bucket and objects becoming public, which is what we want. So we're just going to go ahead and click on that anyway, right? All right, now we're going to go to our next step. Okay, so for server-side encryption, right, to make sure that everything that we upload, right, is going to get encrypted upon uploading it, we're going to enable, well, first of all, sorry, where's this at? Bucket version, no. Where we want default encryption, server-side encryption. Okay, we're going to enable that. All right, and then we're going to use Amazon S3 manage keys. All right, so an encryption key that Amazon S3 creates, manages, and uses for you, because you can have customer managed keys, but that means that you have to do everything. One of the good things about using the cloud is that if you allow it, the cloud or the cloud service will do most things for you. So we're going to leave it by default and say, hey, let Amazon S3 manage our keys for us, right? Then we're going to go on to the next step. All right, so it says, hey, we create, let me see, let me go back here. All right, so scroll, choose enable, choose S3, and then it says, okay, choose create bucket. So that's what we're going to do down, let me see, down here. Let me see, I got to move this over so people can see it in the live stream. You probably can't see it, but I'm just going to click on that create button. I'm in create bucket, and then I have, as you can see, I have the same thing that they have. So on the next screen, all right, so on the next screen, right, so now you see that you have your buckets listed. Okay, so you have your buckets listed, and it tells you this is my bucket lab unique name, and it's in the US East 1 region. Okay, and the objects that I put in here can be public, so that's good. So now let's go back and read the instructions that we have in our exercise. All right, so all right, it says click view details. All right, go to the next step. So when we click on view details here, all right, so just real quick, let me see if I can blow this up just a tad for people out there. All right, so when it says click view details, you just want to see like a few details about your bucket. So right here you have the object, sorry, then you have the properties. All right, so you have your ARN right here, it's your Amazon resource name. Every service or everything created within the AWS console has an Amazon resource name that is unique. Okay, so when you need to interact with other services, you would just copy and paste this Amazon resource name into the other service so that service can interact with it. You have what's called bucket versioning, right? Just to make sure that if you upload something, right, the version of that will never change. So right now it's disabled. So if you delete something, it will be gone forever. If you enable bucket versioning, so that way it will always keep the latest copy of whatever you upload, and then you can go back and access old data, right? And then you can tag different things. So like I say, I'm not gonna get too lost in there. That's just what it means by when it says go into the bucket details. All right. So going back here to the instructions, all right, so click and view details, go to the next step. So you can access your bucket using the Amazon S3 console, using the console UI, which is user interface. All right, you can perform almost all bucket operations without having to write any code. Guys, excuse me, guys and gals, that right there is very, very important, because there's a lot of things within the cloud that you're going to need to know specific coding language. Like, you pretty much will not survive using cloud without learning about Linux, right? But the ease of use that has been constructed by these cloud providers is that you can do a lot of different things and perform the same operations without using any code. That's very, very important, especially as you're learning and trying to get your feet wet using AWS services. Hey, I see the Working Man podcast. How have you been since I saw you in Taji? Oh man, Taji was a long time ago. So I guess I'm good since then, man. That was a long Taji. That was a long time ago, man. All right, that was some years. All right, so look, going back here. All right, you can access your bucket using the Amazon S3 console. Using the console UI, you can perform almost all bucket operations. Okay, got it. So going back here. Now, the first thing it wants us to do is now we're going to upload some data to our S3 bucket. All right, so that's very important. So now let's go to the upload tab. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me bring this back a little bit. All right, so look, we've already created the bucket, right? So now all we have to do is click on our bucket name, and now we're going to come to the upload tab. All right, so now it's asking us to upload some items, probably the items that we downloaded already. So let me just go here to the next tab. Okay, yes. So it's like, hey, upload all these items. So these are the items they want us to upload. So let me see. On Windows, let me make sure I didn't skip anything explaining. All right, so click upload. Your data stored in Amazon S3 is referred to as an object. An object is a file and any metadata that describes that file. Amazon S3 stores files in a manner that the contents of your file are unread by Amazon S3. The metadata is a set of key value pairs that describes the object. I don't know if that means anything to any of you, but yeah, you'll understand it. Listen, don't feel bad. Don't feel like, oh, what is he talking about? Just go with the flow. I guarantee you, down the road, it will make sense. Down the road, it will all make sense. Don't worry about it. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add our files. So click Add Files. On Windows, you may see a blinking notification on the menu bar. To select the open dialog window, upload the files. Choose the 4 files listed below that you previously downloaded. So the 4 files listed below are index.html, main.js, style.css, and then target-file.csv. So as I go back to the files that we downloaded previously, right? So I see we have what, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So basically it's saying upload everything but that policy, right? So that's what we're going to upload at this time. So I'm going to go over here to the console, right? And I'm going to upload all 4 of those files that it's asking me to upload. So then I click on upload, it brings me to the upload tab, and then I just add the files, right? So then I come over here, where do we have it? Downloads, right? And then it should be in lab code, yep. So now I'm just gonna see if I can upload just those files. Now I still gotta upload policy. Well, I tell you what, I can just upload it and then I'll just remove policy just to make it easier. And then I'll just go ahead and upload those files. And it only takes like a few seconds to upload files that are these small. Okay, good. So now I know that I have all these files inside of my S3 bucket. That's good. Let me bring that down real quick. All right, so upload is the last step. All right, now, so in step 13, it says review to verify that all files have been uploaded and click close, which we've already done. That's great. All right, so step 14. Okay, now in the object section, choose the index.html file. Click the actions drop-down menu, right? And it says review the available options. You will see the different options to manage your options, such as rename, copy, or download. So it's saying, okay, choose, which we will click on this button. Then we go to the actions tab that allows us to take actions on the file that we choose. And then it says right here, rename object. All right, so let's go follow those steps real quickly. So we go over here to the index file, right? Then we come here to the actions tab, right? And then it looks like we go to the rename objects file, okay? Let me move this out the way real quick. Oh, sorry, and it wants us to do the properties first. Let me see, let me go back, make sure we're good to go. So choose, click, rename options. Oh, it's just review. Okay. So review the available options, manage your options such as rename. Got it. Then click on properties. All right. So got ahead of ourselves. No problem. All right. So we'll just go back. Excuse me. We'll just go back to those tabs. All right. And then we'll click on the property button. All right. All right, so the concept behind this, right, it's like you can host a static website using Amazon S3 by configuring your bucket for static website hosting, setting permissions, and adding an index document. Options like redirect login and error documents are also available, okay, in the properties tab. So within the properties tab, we want to scroll down and then we want to edit static website hosting because that's what we want to do with these files. So in the properties tab, we're going to scroll all the way down here to edit website hosting. Okay, it's below object lock. I know my mouse, and then part of the screen is just a little cut off, so you might not be able to see this part, but I'll just go ahead and do what it's saying, and I believe it's going to tell me to enable. So let me go to the next step. We don't want to get ahead like we did last time. All right, it's the website and then index HTML. So we want to enable, right? And then it says host a website, and then I believe it wants us to type the index, type index.html. So index.html. Okay. All right. So then going to the next step, right? So the concept is Amazon S3 supports two type of URLs. All right, virtual hosted style and HTTPS buckets, right? So the step is okay, index.html, got it. So then they want us to scroll all the way down to the end. So I'll just follow along as you're looking. That might be a little easier. And I'll save changes. I'm gonna hit the save changes button. Okay. All right, so click the permissions tab. So we're clicking on the permissions tab right now as we're following along. All right, so click the permissions tab. Review the block public access to verify that block all public access is off, which it is off. All right, in the bucket policy section, click on edit. So we'll go ahead and click on edit here, right? All right, in the concept, by default, all Amazon S3 resources, buckets, object, and related sub-resources are private and only the resource owner can access it. The resource owner can optionally grant access permissions to others by writing an access policy. Okay. All right. So here we go. So now we're on. Let me go back to this real quick. Okay. So permissions, block public access, and then save changes. Let me go back to that real quick. So permission, and then click on edit. So edit bucket policy. Okay. All right. So now, once we click on edit public policy, right? All right. So now, just like I was telling you guys, I keep saying you guys. I apologize, man. I have to learn to be more inclusive in my speech, and I guarantee you, I'm working on that every day. All right. So look, when it says click on public on the bucket ARN copied, remember that's the Amazon resource name. So we're going to click there. All right. And then that's number one. And then two, we're going to delete the bucket policy. Now, I don't even have a bucket policy. As you can see here, my bucket policy is completely empty. So I don't even have a policy associated with this actual bucket. So let's see if that plays a part. But it's telling me to delete it anyway. All right. So going back to the steps, right? So step 20, click on the icon of your bucket policy, which we've done right there. All right, delete the content in the policy editor section, which I did not have. You may see an access denied error under the edit statement panel. Please ignore. I don't see an access denied. All right, so then it says go to the next step. Okay, so that's what we'll do. So we'll go to the next step. All right, so open the policy text. All right, got it. So now because I was getting worried for a second. I was like, man, I don't even have any policy, right? But so look, we'll just use Notepad here. All right, so now I don't know if you can see this, everyone. Let me make sure you okay, you guys can see it. So right now, okay, this is a bucket policy. So this right here is written in JSON language, right? So that's another type of language that you're going to have to learn, once you come to the cloud and you're dealing with AWS services and stuff like that, because for the most part, they all use JSON languages, right? Now, when you're looking at this at first time, it's quite daunting. You might be like, what the flip? But once you start looking at it and you say, okay, hey, I can kind of break it down by section, right? So when you see the version will always be 2012, 1017. You know what? I'm not gonna go into all that because I don't want to lose people here. But what it's asking us to do right now is to copy and paste. All right. So what we'll do is we'll just copy. All right. So we'll copy the policy, right? And then what we'll do is we'll just go into the policy and then copy and paste the policy. So basically what this is doing is saying, hey, we want to allow certain things to happen in this policy. So for the statement ID, you see it says, hey, S3 get object allow. So we wanted to get all the objects, right? And the resource is your bucket ARN, which I might have to copy and paste in here. Let me see. That's probably what it's going to say, your bucket. So you copy and paste your bucket resource in here. So that way it gives the policy access to be able to do everything. And then you see this little wildcard character here that just means allow all. All right. So let's see. So replace your ARN. When we look at the instructions right here, it's saying, hey, replace your ARN. So the ARN, that's the Amazon resource name, in case you just joined us, right? So we will replace, let me see if I can paste that there. Oh no, that's bad. So, all right, I got to go back and copy. Where did I have that? Oh, it's right here. Duh. All right, so just go back and copy that. Okay, so we go in and copy in our Amazon resource name from our bucket. All right, let's look back into the directions, okay? So it's like, okay, hey, open the policy.txt file in your local computer, which we just did. All right, this is the policy.txt file that you downloaded in the previous step. The policy grants the S3 get object permissions to any public anonymous users. Replace the bucket ARN placeholder with the bucket ARN you copied earlier. Review to ensure that the ARN ends with that slash and the everything, which it does. And we copied and pasted our ARN in here, okay? All right, so now copy all of the updated context to the policy.txt file and paste in the policy editor section. Hold up now, I have to read that again. Copy all of the updated context of the policy.txt file and paste in the policy editor section, which we just did. Got it. Review and ensure it ends with that. Got it. Scroll to the bottom of the page, go to the next step. Okay, so let me make sure that our JSON verbiage looks exactly. So I'm just going to paste this side by side. Make sure everything is matching up. Statement ID, statement, got the opening bracket, got the curly braces, get allow, action, S3, get object, effect allow. So basically when you do this part, just make sure everything matches, okay? So you don't have anything that's new in there, right? Or you messed around like you saw that I did at first. I messed around and copied the policy in there twice, just did a control Z, took the rest of the policy stuff away. So just make sure that you have everything in there and it looks exactly the same, okay? So now that we've pasted, um, yep, there's no space. So now that we've pasted, right, so let's go through the steps. So step number one, which is paste, then review, make sure everything looks the same way. And then it says make sure no space exists before that first curly brace, right? Because that curly brace is what starts the JSON code, right? So we want to make sure there's no space in there and everything is looking good. So everything looks good. All right, so then you click on save changes, right? So when we go to our environment, then we click on save changes and it says, hey, the successfully edited the bucket policy, right? So now that we know, hey, our policy is good to go. All right. So now we click on, hey, save changes. All right, so now it's saying, okay, click on properties and scroll to static website hosting. All right, go to the next step. So I'll just do this off screen, right? So I can, for the sake of time, keep on rolling here. So we go to properties and then we'll scroll. Let me see, it says scroll down to the bottom. Let me see, go to the next place. Okay, so for bucket hosting, all right, so for bucket hosting, let me see, review, and it says bucket hosting, yes, and then we want to click. This right here is just copying and pasting the link to this specific website, right? So it says copy and paste. So review the settings to verify that the bucket hosted is listed under hosting type. Click the icon to copy your bucket website endpoint. Go to the next step. So that's what we'll do. We'll go to the next step here. All right, so now it wants us to copy and paste this to see if we getting the same output here. So we'll just copy and paste this website here. And as you can see, now we have achieved the same thing. We have achieved the solution, which was migrating, right, the web page that the customer was hosting to our AWS environment, okay? And we are hosting it via that, we're hosting the static web page via our S3 container. So congratulations to us, to everyone that has solved the solution. All right, and as you can see, all right, let me bring this up here now. All right, Hold up. So we got some questions in the chat real quick. Let me just address those before we continue. So it's like Uncle Trey, how many certifications are part of the Tech U track? Okay, so what Brady Hooker is speaking of is the Amazon Tech U program. This is a program where you are going through an apprenticeship, right? And what they are doing when you enter the apprenticeship, Amazon is hiring you as an apprentice, and what they are doing is they are teaching you about cloud technology so you can fulfill a certain role. So they have different roles where they have solutions architect, they have technical account managers, they have professional services. Like they have so many roles. So the role that I came in was cloud support engineer. And basically, what that role is like you are pretty much a help desk for the cloud, right? So there are some differences for those. I know we had, I don't know if, I can't see who's still in the chat right now, but I know we had Kev Tech in here earlier. And Kev Tech, if you don't know, he has a YouTube page where he talks about, help desk. So, like, you're pretty much doing help desk type of stuff, but you're doing it for the cloud. So when the customers call you, they already proficient. They are real proficient about cloud technology already. They just have a problem navigating the S3 the AWS services. So your job is to go through and kind of show them how to access these services and then how to, come up with a solution for their particular use case. So to answer Brady's question, right, for my particular track, which is cloud support engineer, right? What did I have to do? So the first thing I had to do was get the cloud certified practitioner certification, which is kind of like the game that I'm showing you guys. So I had to get this back in March of this year, 2022. And so then after that, then you have, excuse me, I'm sorry, before you even get the cloud certified practitioner, you got to pass CompTIA Linux Plus. So you got to take and pass CompTIA Linux Plus certification. And let me tell you, that thing is difficult. It is very, very hard, man. Let me tell you. I've taken, man, I think right now I've taken about 7 or 8 CompTIA tests, and I can tell you by far that was the hardest CompTIA examination that I've ever taken. And because it's kind of like for those of y'all that's taking, like certifications and stuff like that, certifications are a lot of rote memorization, right? You kind of study the concept, you memorize it, and then you regurgitate during the exam. But, there are some certifications where that's not going to help you. You're going to have some time under the hood. You're going to have some learning where you're actually sitting there labbing and going through the commands, using different things like, we had access to the AWS console. So using the AWS console to practice your Linux, installing things like VirtualBox, all right, to be able to practice your Linux commands using different Linux distributions like Ubuntu, certain CentOS, Debian, or we have the AWS2 Linux program. So we had the Linux CompTIA's Linux Plus. Then I had to take the Certified Cloud Practitioner. Then I had to take the Solutions Architect Associate exam, right? I had to take that, and then after that was the AWS Certified Speaker certification, and those are the only ones that are required of you to take. So you have to take those specific certifications in order to pass the TechU program, and then after that. You are responsible for doing a capstone. So you have to build like an AWS product and solution from scratch, and then you have to present it. So midway, you got to do 2 of those, right? So the first thing that I had to do was back in what was it, June. We had to do a case study. So my case study was on the company Pinterest, right? Like the social media website Pinterest, and we had to go there and like build a solution for Pinterest. So then, we all flew up to Seattle, and we went up to, and presented our case study like, hey, this is the solution that we have. Now, I have my last case study before I graduate is actually in about, I think, a week and a half. I have to go to Herndon, Virginia, and then deliver my case study. So this case study, this was the coolest thing. Listen, I'm tell you something. And look, no matter if you're watching this and you're looking at Uncle Trey right now, like, damn, Uncle Trey, you talking all this cloud stuff. I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Look, 8, 9 months ago, I didn't know none of this stuff. I couldn't even really tell you what the cloud was 8, 9 months ago. But that's a good thing about going to a program, like TechU, right? Because I've been in this console damn near every day for the last 7, 8 months, man. Just every day, just learning. And now I have a semblance, what I mean? Now I can actually navigate my way through these services and confidently explain these services and explain how to use them. So if anyone out there, if you're looking to get started, within, trying to get started in the cloud, man, see if you can truly find like an internship or an apprenticeship or something like that, where the people will actually work with you and teach you the job. Because I know it's be very hard for you to just get out here and learn this on your own. You still got wives and kids and family, and then you trying to go through and study all this stuff, and then how do you demonstrate to the employers that you know what you're talking about, right? So like I said, I was fortunate enough to be able to find, like I said, this apprenticeship program, and then I got hired that way. Hey, Professor Black Ops, hey, how you doing, sir? See you all the time with Josh from Keep It Techie. Shout out to Professor Black Ops in the building. Says, hey, I'm about to sit for AWS DevOps. The cert has 3 labs in the test. Man, AWS DevOps is one of the top certs. You get that, you're gonna definitely be able to have garner high earning power. And the fact that you even sitting from this exam, I know you've been studying for a long time, man. So that's great to hear from Professor Black Ops. We have another comment. It says Jason, his deep AWS is in Linux in day-to-day operation. Oh, how deep probably. How deep is AWS in Linux in day-to-day operation? Very like so. What I think that you're asking, I couldn't really read the comment like that, but what I think that you're asking is how much Linux do you need to know to move around the cloud, right? And what I would tell you is you're gonna need to be able to learn it at more than a beginner level, right? Because there's certain things that you need to be able to do to function. Like you need to be able to go in and like be able to look at certain scripts. You need to be able to just know like certain commands, like how to, like for instance, like in Windows, right? Like if the system is being boggy and stuff, you can do things like you right click and then you can look at like I forget anyway, where you can see all the services, like you go to task manager, you can see all the processes are running and stuff. You're gonna have to do the same thing in Linux, but in Linux you just have to know like, oh, I just press top, right? And then I can look at all the services and stuff. So it's pretty much like if you're competent in computers, that's the one thing I'll also say too for anybody that's out there watching. If you already have some computer literacy, like if you're already competent in computers, all that knowledge that you have is going to translate to the cloud. Because like, I'm just glad, like I say, man, I've been working in IT 20 some years. So I didn't really have cloud experience, but I had a lot of IT experience, help desk, Active Directory, operating system, troubleshoot, mobile phone, all so on and so forth, right? And mainly in the army, right, or the military, mainly you do a lot of networking. That's the primary IT skill that you use. You do a lot of networking, right? Setting up different networks and stuff. And you will not believe how transferable all those skills are coming into the cloud. So I would just, want to encourage the people out there, man. No matter, if you've already applied and you've been rejected or whatever the case, you can definitely make it in this environment. I want to definitely tell all my people out there about that. You can definitely make it, okay? So hey, I've held everyone for about 57 minutes. And I just wanted to show everyone how to play this AWS Cloud Quest game, because this game, if you have like no knowledge about the cloud, it can really put you on a path to where you can learn about cloud technology and stuff, okay? So we just solved the solution for the beach wave conditions, right? So now, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and stop the live now, and then, I'll come back and do another solution later on. Like it's gonna be random. I'm just gonna hop on and just do solutions, right? But so yeah, just be on the lookout for that stuff right there. And I definitely appreciate everyone who tuned in today to join the live, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you all very much. All right, it is I says me, Cisco Soldier, aka Uncle